Hey, how you doing? It's Craig Haskell, founder of the Value Hound Academy, and today we're going to talk about value. But first, I got to tell you, I feel naked. I just got my hair cut today, and I really got butched. So I feel like my new name should be Butch, Butchy Boy. But anyways, let's get into today's session. I want to talk to you about value. The last few sessions we talked about the three core principles of value investing. We talked about the relationship between current value and intrinsic value. But today I want to talk to you about intrinsic value. How do you find intrinsic value? Well, there's basically two approaches to finding intrinsic value. There's the replacement cost approach and the net present value approach. All right, let's get into the first one. Let's talk about replacement cost. Any development that you have to build a new building, there's certain costs that go in. These are the basic costs. You have hard costs, such as the construction supplies. You have soft costs, such as the permits. You have fees. Developers and construction companies get fees, they get paid fees to build the building. You have marketing and leasing. You got to lease the place up, or you got to sell the houses if you have houses. You have financing costs to build the project. You got to go out and get financing. And you have the cost of land. All of these are the costs to replace the building that go into a house or in a commercial building, an apartment building, whatever. It's all the same. But I want you to figure out what it is per square foot. The best way to do that is go to a local realtor, a developer, a construction company, and find out how much does it cost in a certain area for a certain type of product per square foot. Now, this particular property I bought, I turned this thing around. This property is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's 1,500 square feet. It cost $100 a square foot to replace that property. Now, that's basically $150,000, right? So if we had, this house is 1,500 square feet, and this apartment building was 15,000 square feet, assuming it was the same types of cost, at $100 a foot, that would cost $1.5 million to replace that property. So that's what the replacement cost is. That's what it costs to replace a building. And you hear that quite often in the investment community. What does it cost to replace a property? And how do we compare that intrinsic value to the value or the price you're paying for the property? All right? So let's look at the next approach here. This one here actually takes a calculator here to figure out. And if you don't have one, I recommend you get this a financial calculator. I use the HP 12C. I've had this thing here for about, I don't know, almost 20 years. I got a tape here on the back with the batteries. I had it so long. But I recommend getting a financial calculator because you can calculate these numbers here. Let's just say, for example, you're going to buy an apartment building, right? You're going to buy, here's a property right here that I turned around that needs some repairs. You can buy this property for, let's say, $950,000, right? You're going to put $50,000 into the property to renovate it. You're going to do some landscaping. You're going to paint the property, all right? So your initial investment is $1 million. Here on the net present value approach, we're actually going to analyze the cash flows going out into the future. So there's going to be some assumptions that go on. So as value investors, we like to buy with a margin of safety because sometimes we might be a little aggressive with our performance and our numbers. So let's say your initial investment is $1 million. That's the purchase price of $950,000, and that's $50,000 of renovation cost. In the first year, you're going to have some turnover. You're going to have some issues going on, getting the property fixed up. You're not going to generate any cash flow. You're going to have $0. Year number 2, you're starting to get going. You're starting to get the property stabilized. You're going to generate $50,000 of income. In year 3, you're going to generate $60,000 of income. Now, in year 4, you say, someone's going to come to you, or you're going to decide to sell the property, and let's say you sell the property for $2 million, all right? And you're going to have some closing costs, you're going to have some fees to pay, brokerage fees and so forth. Let's say you're going to net from the sale proceeds and some cash flow of $1.8 million. Now you plug that into your financial calculator, and you find the net present value, or $1.4 million is the intrinsic value today because you're discounting it back. When you do net present value, you're actually putting in a discount rate. What are current rates right now that you can use your money in something else? If you had $1 million and you're going to get, let's say, 7%, is kind of common today because interest rates are low. So you're using that as a comparison basis. So to bring those future cash flows and net it back to today's time into the net present value, this particular property is $1.4 million. So if you were buying this property and you're saying, hey, I can buy this property for $1 million, let's say, that's the purchase price and the renovation cost, and you compare it to the net present value of $1.4 million, you've got a good deal. So when you're going out and buying properties, I recommend that you take these two approaches and compare the two together. Find out where they are as far as the replacement cost, and go ahead and do an analysis here. Now, if you're buying a house, typically this is the way to do it. If you're buying commercial properties, you can go both ways here. I recommend combining the two together. So This is important, a financial calculator to help you out so you can come up with these numbers, but I really recommend taking your time and understanding the intrinsic value so you can see the opportunities. I hope this interview has served you. I recommend you going on to the Value Hound Academy discussion forum and ask questions about this. We'll get into more detail. I only have a few minutes here, but I wanted to show you the comparison of these two methods of determining intrinsic value. So I hope this video has served you. I look forward to offering you more advice and teaching you more about real estate value investing and helping you reach for the stars.